This is the Stubborn German podcast, brought to you from the lovely and always refreshing Stubborn German Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
I am today's guest host, Jared.
Hi, Jared.
Hi, Chris. And this is...
I am Chris.
We're a man down today.
We are.
Kevin was not able to be here at the last minute.
Yep. He's out in outer space again, or where?
I think so. Who knows what he's doing? But, yeah. So, and not only were we down one man,
yeah,
we're down a guest.
We're down a guest, too. Yeah.
So you all get to enjoy the lovely sounds
of Jared and Chris scrambling to throw together an episode on the fly.
What are we going to talk about? But as usual, the first thing we always get to is...
the German word of the day, which I have prepared for us. And the German word of the day is Koffer.
Koffer. And now usually we politely throw to our guest.
Yeah. So go ahead.
And then
guest.
Yes.
And nothing.
Let's see. And then I try to get Kevin to go before me too.
Right. So that's
a little gamesmanship.
So now you just have to...
Koffer. I feel like I should know this.
Koffer.
I'm going to say a storage container.
A storage container.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me note that. Storage.
And tune in to the end of the episode to find out just how wrong I am.
Okay.
You never know.
Storage container.
Yeah.
Right.
So, before we get into our whatever topic we're going to get to, how you been?
I've been good.
Yeah?
Been really good, yeah.
We just had our 4th of July holiday.
Right. As we record, this is July 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So, happy birthday, America.
That's right.
Yeah. I had a blast. Did you do anything fun?
We went and saw fireworks locally. Yeah.
Cool.
Someone's just their neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I think they spent like $5,000 on fireworks. So it was pretty legit.
That's
it was
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
We did have a couple that went off, like 10 feet over the ground.
Those are the fun ones.
They were very close to people. Like,
everyone ducked.
Yes. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And they were the big ones, So.
Of course. That's how it always goes. The amateur firework displays are always, they're always fun because, you still want to have your wits about you enough to be able to run, if need be.
What about you? You guys do anything?
Nothing too crazy. We were over in Missouri. We watched a show over there. Did some fishing.
Yeah.
Nice. It was a good weekend, and weather was beautiful. So
cool.
I'm refreshed and ready to go.
It was not like today.
No,
today was what's the index?
Today is
like 110
miserable.
or something.
Yeah, it's stupid. So
yeah. And it's a Tuesday night, so we do have the municipal band playing outside.
Right.
I was talking to Tammy, and she thinks
it's
maybe
be a light crowd,
not a big crowd. So
that wouldn't surprise me. I think as we've done this a few years, and that's typically how it goes. If it's unless it's really, really, really early on in the season, like first 2 or 3, then it doesn't matter what the weather is. People are going to come out. Mm-hmm. But as you get 4, 5, 6 Tuesdays into it, now the weather kind of plays a bigger part. And it's like, maybe
but you
it's
know
a little
what?
Too warm.
On a really hot, humid day, where is a better place to go than Stubborn German?
You took
for
the
a
words
cold beer,
right out of my mouth.
AC.
Yep.
It doesn't get any better.
Got her cranked in here, so
there's really no excuse for a small crowd.
And if it gets too hot in here, we can go in the walk-in cooler and hang out down there. So we could even podcast down there one time if you want.
Is it known as the new walk-in cooler?
It is known as the new walk-in cooler.
I thought I saw
funny
something
story.
about that. Is there?
Yeah. No, not really a funny story. It's actually kind of sad.
What happened?
Well, when we first started the brewery, cash is tight, and I found a used system, but they weren't really designed to go together, like the outdoor unit and the fan unit inside.
Okay.
They're both supposed to be, matched to each other and to what you're trying to do. Well, this was like one part was out of a freezer and one part is for a fridge walk-in cooler unit, like 36, 7, 8 degrees, something like that. Well, we like to keep ours at like 35 to 36 degrees, which is sort of right in between. So we ended up with one of each units. And so anyway, we'd have to have the thing worked on anytime the weather would change. Like okay, it's now we're going into the hot season, so have to call the HVAC company and get them to come back out and work on it. And then when it got cold, it's the exact same thing. Come back and they'd have to adjust things and either take Freon out or put more Freon in. It was always a pain in the butt, and my level of anxiety about the walk-in cooler is so much less right now, even though we had to write this big check to get a brand new unit put in. But so I'm a lot happier.
Huh? Okay.
The accountant.
It's been working?
Oh, God, yeah. It's working great. So,
because I've seen at least another business in town recently that replaced some equipment, and it didn't always go well. They've had issues with it, so...
Yeah.
That's awesome that you guys are not having issues.
So far, so good. It was
cool.
Just put in last week, so...
Great.
Yeah, It's all good.
Good deal.
Things are good here.
Make better beer that way.
Well, yeah, if it's colder. That's what they tell me.
Yeah. All right. So, we wanted to talk about...
the BJCP.
Right? And,
Well, my path to becoming a BJCP judge.
Yes.
And if you're actually listening to this and you're
if you didn't just click off
because Kevin's not here,
yeah.
Well, then thank you. That's too kind of you. But BJCP is Beer Judge Certification Program. So It is the program that certifies new beer judges and gets existing judges to move up through the ranks. They have a ranking system. And then that's kind of half of what they do. Then the other half is helping to put on competitions, like local competitions. So we've had a couple competitions here, and this basically is for home brewers to make beer at home. They'll enter in usually about 2 to 3 bottles of the same style of beer, and you can enter as many beers as you'd like. I used to do this a lot when I homebrewed. But it's pretty popular amongst home brewers. But yeah, you enter in, and then let's say you and I are at a competition, and we are both judging together. We're a partner, we're a pair. And what happens is, like, we might get stouts. So then there's, let's say, 10 different stouts entered. So we'll open up one of those 2 or 3 bottles of each of those, and one at a time. We'll analyze a few things: the way it looks, the way it smells, the way it tastes, and the texture of it. The mouthfeel. Literally on your tongue, and then you give an overall impression score as well. And that's more like it's more like, how do you like it, instead of how does it fit the guidelines, or what would you do differently if you had to, if you were going to make this beer. So that's kind of the criteria that it's judged on. And I guess that's the nuts and bolts of, like, what the program is. So they are really trying to get more judges and more quality judges, because if anything, that's the issue. Is you enter a beer, it might cost $7, $8, $9 by now to enter in one beer. So if you're entering in a few different beers, it does add up. And you'd like to think that you're getting good quality feedback that you can take and brew that same recipe the next time, and use that information that you got and tweak your recipe and then nail it the next time. That's the idea. So if your judges that are judging your beer aren't really on top of it,
not
or don't
giving
know what
you
they're
good
talking
feedback,
about, then that's not really the case. But sometimes you get some really good judges, and it's like that's exactly what happens. And I had that happen to me more than a few times. So. Different I remember I entered into a competition, and they could taste the sanitizer I was using. They said I was using iota 4. Yeah, iota 4 at too high of a concentration, which iota 4 is a great brewing sanitizer at the right concentration. And I think I was getting sloppy and just a little bit of there.
It tastes a little soapy.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what it was. Like, tastes like too high of a concentration of iota 4. Like, really?
Wow.
This guy's good. And he picked it up on both of the beers that I entered into that competition.
Really?
Yeah.
And is it a blind? Like, he didn't know necessarily?
It's all blind. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to enter it in a brown unlabeled bottle with no unique markings on the cap.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole thing. So
now, once he figured that out, could you tell? Like, were you, oh yeah, I can taste it, or were you like, what?
I think this was a long time ago when this happened.
This is before you were certified as a
yes.
BJCP
judge. This is what made me want to get into the BJCP, because I was like, that is really cool. But I think that beer was all gone for that batch, and so it didn't. It didn't really. And I had just what I personally did. I kegged most of my beer into 5-gallon like soda kegs. And if I was going to enter that beer into a competition, I would just go ahead and sanitize a handful of bottles, just enough to bottle some up and send off to the competition. So as I would do that, that's where I would get my concentration messed up, I'm sure, because I would just literally dump some water in, dump some of the iodophor in, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm good to go. But it was probably way too much, and the film stayed on the edges of the glass, and
interesting.
He totally picked that up. So that was a habit I had to break.
Only took once, right?
Well, twice. Well, but the same,
Nice. So. Okay, so one of my first questions was going to be, if you become a certified judge, where are you judging? Now, you said homebrew contests.
Yes.
Is there something beyond that, or is it kind of exclusive to homebrew stuff?
It's pretty exclusive to homebrew stuff. Now, there are some professional brewing competitions. There's the World Beer Cup. There's a handful of other ones that are really big out there. And they will look for any kind of training or certification. So BJCP is definitely a really big one. They're also looking for things like, if you went to a school, college of some sort for brewing, then you probably have some palate training through that. So any kind of palate training is what those pro ones are really looking for, but BJCP is one of those. But as far as the homebrewing world, BJCP is it. There's really nothing else that is even close to what BJCP. I'm not aware of anything else that even tries to do this. So, and you can have competitions run different ways, but the way the BJCP works is that you're constantly trying to brew that beer to style, and they have a list of the style guidelines, and that's what, like, as I judge, and anyone judges, you literally have a paper copy of those guidelines sitting right next to you, and it'll say, like, American Pale Ale should smell like, and it's a list of this is what it should be. These are the hops that are acceptable. These are the grainy flavors or aromas or whatever that are acceptable. Anything outside of that is a flaw, and you have to score it accordingly. So it's kind of a...
So you can't be like, but I want it to taste like, Rice Krispies or whatever.
Easy now. There unfortunately is no Rice Krispie category in the BJCP, but there is a specialty category which all that junk fits into. Yeah. So it's kind of they kind of make an exception for that.
All right.
But it's you try to brew to style, and a lot of homebrewers don't like to brew to style. So that's kind of a whole thing is like, I just make beer that I like to drink. And that's totally fine. Yeah. Your home brewing is a hobby and as for fun, and you should do what you want, what makes you happy. Like no one's sitting here trying to make you brew differently. But if you enter it in as an American Pale Ale and it tastes like a Belgian, beer of some sort, you're going to get dinged and you're going to get a low score just because you entered it incorrectly or you didn't brew it to the style that you said you brewed it to. So, and again, it's all anonymous. We don't know that that's your thing. That I brew mine with this yeast or whatever. Like, well, it's not according to style, so you don't get a good score. I'm sorry. So there's a little bit of that, and a lot of young new brewers kind of have to find that out the hard way, unfortunately. Which kind of stinks, and I hope it doesn't turn new brewers off to entering competitions because it is for fun, and it's hopefully to help you, be a better brewer if you enter and take that feedback the right way.
I would think it's similar to something like a barbecue contest. I mean, if you're going to enter in some ribs or whatever, they have guidelines that they go by, and you wouldn't use this method instead of that or whatever. You cut it like this.
Exactly.
Trim it.
Okay. So
how long have you been a certified judge?
I'm glad you asked that, Jared, because right before I got here, I was like, I better pull up my record.
Figure that out.
Because I know that's coming. I took my very first... I judged my first competition on December 13th of 2008.
Oh, wow.
And that was the Happy Holiday Homebrew Competition, the HHHC, in St. Louis, and that is from my old homebrew club, the St. Louis Brews. And it's not like I don't like them and don't want to go to their meetings anymore. It's just that they're in St. Louis and I'm in Waterloo, and I'm way too darn busy to get there. Otherwise, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But so I really miss those guys, and miss going there. Yeah. It's been a long time, and but I that was my first competition. And I judged meads of all things, which is like honey wine more than beer anyway. But for some reason, like between wine and beer, mead had to go somewhere and cider has to go somewhere. Okay. And it ended up with beer. So here I am, a brewer. I've literally never tasted mead in my life. And they're like, hey, congratulations, you get mead. like, shut up, really? Yeah, that's kind of how it was. And luckily, they paired me with a guy that was very, very good at making meads and really knew his stuff. And so I got an education by fire, like right away, and it was a good education. And kind of, I mean, I enjoy meads now a little bit. And not that I'm not going out
not
there
enough
like
to make one,
buying them, and I can't make them with my license. But but I have made them before as a home brewer and stuff. And yeah. It's
okay.
Who
it's
can
on a side note?
Yeah.
Who can make a mead? A
winery?
winery?
A winery can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's got to do with so in Illinois anyway, and I'm not sure about the other 49 states, but in Illinois you have to have a certain percentage of your fermentable sugar coming from grain.
Okay.
So like if you're going to make a mead that had some barley in it, then that would, I think, is that a braggot? There's different names for all these things. And I haven't brushed up on these enough. But anyway, if you make that, then that could, as long as you hit the right percentages, you'd be okay. So it's it's kind of goofy how they So for BJCP, mead and cider is part of beer, but for the liquor license, it's part of wine.
Yeah, I could see that.
So whatever. Yeah.
So, how long and what's the process for getting certified? Is it a written test? Is it somebody
what I wanted to kind of
standing
really
over your shoulder saying?
And that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And anytime I tell people are always kind of like, "Holy cow, you like went through all that? Like you care that much about?" And I mean, I'm honestly
you did start a brewery, so
I am just kind of a beer nerd at heart.
You kind of care.
Yeah, I kind of care a little bit. But so how it works. Basically, I took my exam in the very next year in January of 2009, and I lucked out. The way it works, the exam, it's kind of like they compared it to like a CPA exam. Now, I've never taken a CPA exam, but so I don't know what to compare it to.
From what I hear.
Yeah, from what I hear, it's just like the BJCP exam. So... But it basically it was back then. Now they call this the legacy exam, the one that I took way back when.
Because
now
you're so old.
Yeah, right. That's what it is. So now they've updated it. But when I did it, it was 10 essay questions, and you're literally writing in complete sentence form. One of those 10 was not a complete sentence thing. It was they give you the style. I think it was Classic American Pilsner on my exam, and it said write a recipe for a Classic American Pilsner, and you got to nail things like temperatures and the right hops and the right grain and all this stuff, and times and all this, lagering time and all this. Luckily, I love that beer style and had made it before, and so I did great on that particular question. But anyway, so those 10 questions, and then in between those, you're answering these questions, and in between, there's 6 beer samples that you're tasting, and then you're writing your feedback on those, and they can be anything from the perfect classic example of that style. Like they just give you a cup with some beer and they say, this is an American stout.
Yep.
And if it is a great American stout, you have to gush over it and talk about how it's the best American stout. And if you're thinking, oh no, this stout has a flaw, and you call out a flaw, that you get dinged pretty hard on that. So
yeah.
And what they do, they have proctors that are also drinking those same beers, and those proctors give their feedback and their score as well. So if as a test taker, if my feedback and score don't match the proctors, then I get dinged based on how far off I went.
Okay.
So you have, it's kind of it's kind of almost a miracle to do really, really well on these exams. Everything just has to line up just right because you have a random person, serving these beers. And so when I say like a classic example, there's 6 beers. So usually 2 of them are good classic examples, perfect, nothing wrong with them. 2 of them are home brews that are just okay and maybe score out of 50 is the top. Like they might score between 25 and 35. So they're okay, but like something could be better about them and you need to call that out. And then there's 2 that they flaw purposely, like
they just give you hams and say, "Here you go.
Yeah, here's your old style, buddy." This is so flawed. No, they on mine, one of them was they mixed maple syrup with it, so it was supposed to be like unfermentable sugar, but like it tasted like maple, and it was just like, I think this one tastes like it was mixed with maple syrup because that's what it smelled like and tastes like. But anyway. so you have a human doing all that mixing and trying to find the flawed beers and all that, and then you have another human proctor that has to hopefully detect the correct things, and then you have to match that, and then all that information gets forwarded to a set of 2 graders. And these graders read through, and they have to kind of have their rubric on how to grade. And I've done this too as part of the BJCP, kind of to do some extra work because I had nothing going on. I was like, I want to grade some exams, but I did this too, and that's really hard to do. To go through and just pick up every word that they wrote down and try to hopefully get it right, and then give them a score on their exam. Based on how close they were to the proctor. So if all that crap lines up, you can get a good grade. And I totally lucked out on my very first one. And I needed, the thing is you need an 80 or higher. 80 to 90 gets you the national rank. Most people are perfectly fine if getting a certified rank, which is 70 to 80 on it. It's out of 100. And that's usually where most people fall in because there's a lot of studying that goes involved. We did a class for, I don't know, probably a dozen weeks, I'd say, over at the Schlafly Tap Room, like preparing for it and all that. So,
sorry, honey, I gotta go study.
That's what it was. It's Sunday night, every Sunday night, just go and do it. But yeah, so everyone is preparing for this, and everyone's thrilled if they can get into the certified category. And then the goal is to kind of move up incrementally as you retake the test and stay with it and all that. I lucked out and I got an 81. So I snuck in with 1 extra point. Yeah, I don't know what they liked about it, my exam, but I mean that just doing that opened so many doors for me as a brewer, and as I started to think about becoming a professional brewer, I already had a ton of contacts just because when I scored that 81. There's another part of it, too. You have to have experience points to actually get that national title. And I didn't have the experience points yet, but I was working on them, and we would go to any, the closest competitions that I could come across. There was something in Rolla that I went to. There was so we're driving anywhere to either judge or take help put on another exam because you get points for that. So anything you can do to get some more experience points built up is what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, at another one of those HHHC competitions, they're looking for best of show judges at the end, and so the very, very end, and it's like, I could do it. I'm standing here. I'm happy to help if I can, and then they're like, well, you did score nationally on your exam. You're not there yet, but you could. Yeah. So why don't you do it? And so I got to judge with. I mean, these names don't mean anything to you probably, but I'd be shocked if they did. But like Gordon Strong is the guy that basically wrote.
Oh, Gordo, yeah,
yeah, Gordo,
yeah.
You know him? He basically wrote the guidelines. But I got to judge with him. I got to judge with Stan Hieronymus, who literally wrote the book on hops. His book is called Hops. Actually, it's called For the Love of Hops. So I mean, yeah. So some really cool people. Some other. People that now own breweries that I didn't know about. We're getting samples out of Crispy
Straight
Treats.
from the tap.
I like it. But yeah, so I don't know. Some of that, some back in those early days of me being able to judge and meet some of those.
And it kind of sounds like you dove in 2 feet first. You were just like thrust into it.
Yes,
and that's maybe not typical.
Probably
of
not.
Your average certified judge?
Maybe not. What you got there? Oh, that looks good.
That doesn't look like 16 ounces.
That's not 16. You need to top that off. When you get a sample out of the bright tank, it's usually 3/4 foam, and then that's what happened. That's what we're laughing at.
Yes,
but the reason that I was able to jump, head first or feet first or whatever into this is I was studying during deer season, so I'd be literally in a deer stand, and I have my notes with me, little note cards, and I would just be flipping through reading these note cards, and I got to keep studying. So I was out in the woods studying the whole time.
So 12 weeks, is that what you said? Of air quote classes.
Classes, yeah.
And and then you got to come home and do homework.
Well, of course, yeah.
So Tammy's sitting here. What are you doing?
That's not a lie.
Drinking beer on the couch.
That's not
homework.
Yeah, I remember I'd go to Randall's, and you could buy a single bottle of a few things. So I'd try to buy different styles from around the world, and I'd have her do blind things like, what kind of beer is this? And, all that stuff. That's all experience that you kind of need. And, it helped.
Cool.
And then, we as I got into it more and more, and we opened the brewery, I started to we hosted classes here. So people took instead of going to the Schlafly Tap Room, they could come here and take a class. We hosted exams here. I was the administrator, so I was the guy doctoring up the beers and stuff. And so, I don't know, I've kind of done a little bit of all of the things that you can do within the BJCP, but I don't think I'll get to that. The master is the next status up. And
don't sell yourself short, Chris.
It's not going to happen. I'm looking at my scores right now, and it's ugly. I'd have to retake the test and get a better grade,
right?
And then I'd also need probably another half a lifetime worth of experience points, which
you're drinking a beer right now.
I am.
Experience. Now, I would think when you want to start your business, open a brewery, you got to talk to the city council, and you can use this certification. Look, guys, I'm a certified beer judge.
Yeah. I'm not just a drunk. I have studied this a little bit.
It had to help, right?
It did, actually. I don't know if I threw this in there or not, but it was in my back pocket if I needed to.
If you needed it, it was there. Cool. Okay, so how many certified beer judges are currently in your homebrew club?
In the homebrew club, let's see, certified beer. I would guess there are somewhere around 6 to 10.
Okay,
somewhere in there.
That's I had to guess. It sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah, it is. We have a good number of them, and last year we did put on a competition. It was the first year we ever did it. It went well. We had a lot of really good support from the St. Louis Brews guys that I knew from across the river. They came over and helped judge too. So we had a lot of really, really good high experience level judges judge our competition last year. I think they're still talking about whether they're going to do that again this year or not. But that was one of our fundraisers last year. We kind of threw that together because BBQ got COVIDed out, and that was kind of our fundraiser for the previous couple of years. So we're like, well, we need to do something. So I don't know if we had a really good BBQ is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So don't know if we need to do a bottle competition.
Well, I think I'm sure people enjoy winning and then getting to, because I guess the prize is they get to brew here, right?
Yeah, that's always, I throw that out there for any kind of prize, it seems like.
I mean, how cool is that?
Most decent brewers around here have brewed with me. They've won something.
And I like that because, A, you're probably going to get a pretty good beer on tap, limited edition.
Yeah.
And, and it's the local community getting involved, and it's cool.
I love it because it pushes me outside of my boundaries. I mean, do you think I would make a Crispy Treats beer if...
I haven't had it yet. It sounds pretty good.
We'll have to try it in a little while. Yeah. So what we're referring to, the Hendricks brothers, or Brothers, are a brewing team that won the Mount Vernon homebrew competition. I'd say that was 4 weeks ago from this record date. And they had a Rice Krispie treat flavored beer, and that they won with, and so that's what we made.
How did the Mount Vernon thing end up here?
The organizers had been here. There's not really when they started that festival. There weren't really any other breweries between here and there. Not really. Or not any that wanted to be involved with them, I guess. But they knew that we were in pretty tight with homebrewers, and this was kind of more of a homebrewer type festival. I'm always happy to help that community because that's what I used to do. Like that was me. And Schlafly was really, really, really nice to us back then. And I still always will have kind of a soft spot in my heart for Schlafly. Just because of that, so because they would help us with grain buys, like they'd buy a pallet of grain and they might take a few bags, but the rest were just whatever we would want. So they'd let them deliver grain there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Lots of neat stuff. That Schlafly's always bending over backwards to help out homebrewers, and they were into beer, and they were beer geeks themselves. So other beer geeks obviously are homebrewers. Why not? Like, of course you'd want them involved.
So, not to put you on the spot, are you able to kind of help people that way here? Do you ever like put an order in for something and a guy comes by and picks up a bag?
I do anytime anyone asks. I give away yeast all the time if people need yeast propped up by us. I mean, and I guess I should first and foremost say that there are really good homebrew stores out there, and other even like mail order, like Omega Labs will mail yeast and things like that. And I always encourage brewers to go that route first. But if you're in a pinch and you need something, or if you've already brewed and you're having a problem or a stall, or you've used old yeast or something, I mean, come on over and I'll give you whatever I've got.
Nice.
Same way with other ingredients. If you're in a pinch and need some hops, I have a whole freezer full of different hops. Like, I'm always helping them out. And it's usually just, unless it's a whole bunch of grain or a whole bunch of hops or something, it's usually like, give me a couple bottles of your beer when you're done, and we'll call it good.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So if somebody in the firm, Homebrew Club, wants to become a judge, what's the first step? What do they got to do?
Just ask me, and I'll put them in touch.
Okay.
So as with everything, COVID totally threw a giant wrench into the whole bottle competition situation, obviously, because you can't. There were so many things that everyone was afraid of, and rightly so. But sitting next to each other to judge the same beer, and it's not even uncommon at these competitions to just share a cup. Like, oh, try this one, you gotta try, and you didn't think anything of it, back then. Yeah. Now it's it'd be terrible. So
you're drinking through a mask,
right? Yeah, it's weird. You got to cut a hole for the straw. It's just weird, and it's hard to smell through a straw. Right. So anyway, that's all coming back now, and people are doing competitions again. They have been for the last year or so, I guess. So they are kind of coming back, and these exams are going to be coming back as well. The class was, cause we would meet in our basement in the brewery. We'd stuff 30 people in the basement, which is a full basement, and you couldn't do that during COVID. So, but we can now, and they were looking for a new place to do another class and get that going again. I haven't heard that it's here, so I'm assuming it's not. Otherwise, they would
probably know.
They would have told me.
Yeah.
We did, I think, 3 or 4 sets of classes here, and I would come to every one just mainly because I have to lock up at the end of the night. It's like Sunday after we close, because we close at 6, so it starts at 6 and it goes till 9 or whatever. And, what are we doing between 6 and 9 on a Sunday anyway? Not much. So I'd come up here, and I would sit through that same exact class that I already sat through once at Schlafly. I did another one at Urban Chestnut, 2 there. So I had 3, 4, 5, 6. I've gone through that class like 6 times, and you still learn so much every time you go through it. So anytime you can sit there and focus on anything, you'll learn so much. So it helps me quite a bit, and I miss it. I wish we would do another one here, because I could use it. Falling apart.
Do it.
My beer judge senses are going away.
Is that a thing? Like you're not just an old vet where you can just judge beer?
No, there's a. If I had to judge a competition like tomorrow, I feel like at this point, it's been so long that I really did it seriously that I should probably like practice a little bit, find some score sheets, fill them out, and more for that than the actual sensing. Yeah. The sensing, you kind of, that doesn't really go away, but to write that all out and find the word in your brain that you're trying to come up with to help that brewer, that's the tricky part.
Now, is there ever any, like, a conflict of interest? You're not allowed to judge your local club or something?
Well, not club necessarily, but you definitely can't judge a class of, or a flight of beers that includes one that you've entered, so you can't judge your own.
Sure.
But like if you judged and if you judged my beer, but we're not judging together or whatever, that's no problem. And even, sometimes
I'm like, that tastes like Old Ledger.
Well, so sometimes, I think like that's with what that, it is. Like I said, that specialty category with like with the if someone's like, well, it's a Rice Krispie treat beer, and I'm thinking like, okay, there's only one person in the world that would make a Rice Krispie treat beer, and that's the Hendricks brothers. So I know it's theirs, but you just kind of have to pretend like that isn't part of your, situation. So and I mean that's where you gotta be a little professional about it and just judge it. So
gotta have some integrity. We trust you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What's the is there any future? You think you're going to do more with it? Are you going to try to get a master certification?
I doubt that that's on my on my.
You're a pretty busy guy.
I am, and even even if I don't know, I'm just thinking like, okay, kids are growing up, kids are moved out. What am I going to do with my time? I don't know. I'll probably take
Judge some beer.
Whittling wood or something before I do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I mean, I do love doing it, and I do want to get back to judging more, especially the St. Louis competitions, because they really have helped me out professionally as well, so much that I feel like I kind of owe it to them as well. So I think that I probably would do...
Tammy's the best, by the way.
What did she do there? What was that?
She just topped off my beer.
Dang. Look at you. How do you rate?
She's the best.
Where's mine?
Yeah, yours is half gone.
I know, it's only half gone. Because I'm talking too much. Maybe you should talk for a while.
Well, that's why my beer's gone. I've been just sitting here listening.
Right.
Okay, do you have anything coming up? Is there anything here soon that's going to be judged?
Here soon,
or in the area?
Judged. Gosh, I'm sure I'm missing some because there were so right as COVID happened. I mean, it was the height of all that kind of stuff, and there were new competitions popping up left and right, and anybody had a a bottle competition that they were doing. The problem is I just don't know what is still happening now, so I don't even want to throw anything out there because some things just kind of went away almost forever, and some things are maybe taking another year off or whatever. So it's hard to say. But
now you mentioned, and I didn't put this together when we talked about it back when it happened, but BJCP, is that put on by the firm?
Yeah, that's
okay.
a firm.
I'm not sure I realized that when we were originally talking about it. I just kind of thought it was a town event like anything else would be.
So it's half put on by the firm for the beer part of it, and the other half put on by the Optimist Club for the barbecue part of it. So it's kind of like two. In our Facebook event page for it, we say it's Waterloo's two most fun clubs getting together to.
If you're going to join something,
join one of those for sure.
Nice. Okay, maybe I'm just an idiot and forgot. Or never knew. I don't know. But, so the firm homebrew club actually puts on the BJCP with the Optimist Club.
Yep,
all right.
Yep. We all kind of
I knew it was a lot of home brewers doing it. I just didn't know that it was the firm behind it. Cool.
And then the proceeds for it, the firm is really, really gracious and basically I think they take like a very small percentage of the total profits of money raised. The rest of it, the giant majority of that money goes to the Optimist Club so that they can... The Optimist Club is raising money to fund youth organizations in Waterloo. So anything to do with the youth of Waterloo, the Optimist Club is actively looking for ways to give away money for that kind of stuff. So,
nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get involved in homebrewing, or even maybe looking into judging,
right?
Or enter some barbecue in the BJCP, who do they got to talk to?
Well, talk to me.
Talk to Chris, right?
Message us at the brewery, or get involved with the firm. The firm meets. Oh gosh, I always get put on the spot here. I think it is the third Wednesday of the month. It's a Wednesday. It's always here.
I do remember that.
It's at 7:00.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get my second, third, and fourth. I have different meetings at different times, so I always forget what's what. But luckily, I have a calendar that tells me.
Right.
But anyway, come to a meeting. You don't have to bring beer. A lot of people think like, if I'm coming to a homebrew meeting, I have to bring my homebrew.
Right.
You don't. And if you really feel like you just have to bring some beer, go get a 6-pack from somewhere and just of something that you've had that you like and enter it as, again, if it's if it's Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, just say this is a pale ale. And enter it and pretend like it's yours. And then whenever they say, let's talk to the brewer about your beer, and everybody's saying how great it was,
I was going to jokingly ask, like, does that ever happen? Does somebody just bring in some Budweiser and pour it into it?
Well, not Budweiser, but no, that's all part of, helping to learn. And, this is an awesome example of whatever style. And then it should be like that's, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is kind of like why they made that style. So,
cool. Nice.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Definitely get a hold of an email to the brewery, Facebook message to the brewery would get you in the right place if you're looking to get started doing any of this stuff. We can point you in the right direction.
All right. Anything else on your list you want to get to for
Oh, gosh, let me peruse my list. No, you got it all, man.
Did we get there?
You hit it.
Look at that.
You hit it all.
This is a successful
in
episode.
record time, yeah. Yeah, we don't need Kevin.
But what we do need Kevin for usually is to get the German word of the day right.
Yeah, that's true. So the German word of the day today was Koffer. And Jared said I'm going to get the exact wording here, a storage container. And let's see, Koffer actually means suitcase or tote or bag.
I feel like
Jared
that
wins,
is pretty darn
container.
close.
That's it.
There is literally
confetti flying everywhere,
dropping
folks.
from the ceiling.
Congratulations, Jared. Your first win.
It is my first
win. It's your first win, and Kevin's not even here to enjoy it.
I'm so proud right now. I'm going to swill this beer.
All right, you chug beer. I'll take us out.
Nice. We don't need Kevin.
We don't.
We desperately need Kevin.
Actually, we do so bad.
Well, I am so excited right now that I got the German word of the day.
I'm really happy
and there's
for you.
music playing.
I was wondering if you were going to... I was like, this might be the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks for picking an easy one, Chris.
I do what I can.
I appreciate it. Well, we want to thank our listeners for tuning in, and especially the home brewers who I know are listening intently. And,
are they?
Well, at least they've got it on during the game.
They've heard me. They've heard me gab enough.
Yeah, but there's new brewers that haven't heard this before, and they want to get into judging. So
there you go. Yeah,
it's cool. I think it's pretty neat that you are a 14-year veteran of the home brewing.
Boy, that makes me feel old.
Judging, yeah. You are old.
I know.
They don't even have the same test anymore that you took.
I know. It's the legacy exam. When I saw that the first time, I was like, "What in the hell?" The legacy exam. Get out of here.
He's got his Scantron form results that he...
We don't use that anymore? Come on.
No, but it is pretty cool. And thank you, Chris, for getting into all the details and sharing that with us. So
you're welcome.
All right. Well, until next time, we want to thank Stubborn German for having us, and to Chris and Tammy. And as usual, I'm Jared.
And I'm Chris. And
Prost.
All my judge stuff. Okay. Do you know anything about that?
Judge? Oh,
beer judging?
I know it involves a beer.
Okay.
That's
all you need to know. Okay. I'll tell you the rest.
Good. That's why I'm listening.
All right, good. Just ask the appropriate questions like Kevin always does,
right.
And then we'll be fine.
Basically, I did no homework before this one, so we'll see.
Awesome. I did minimal homework.
We need to tell Tammy to turn the music up. It's not so busy in here today.
I know.
We usually have all that background noise.
I know.
That's okay. It'll get busy. It's so hot out, though.
It is so hot. I know. Yeah, people are going to show up right at 8 o'clock, and that's going to be it. Yeah.
So who's starting this one, me or you?
You do it. You're better at it. Or I can't do it. I don't care.
I'll do it.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.